There's no saying in boxing that timing beats speed and precision beats power. And that's true to an extent, but it's only a part of the equation. In this video, let's talk about how to beat a fighter that's faster than you. Fighting someone faster than you is a pain in the ass. Not only are they able to get to you before you can see them, but faster fighters tend to also have better reflexes. They're able to see your punches coming at them. And most of the time, they could even hit you before you hit them, even though you threw your punch first. That's one of the biggest dangers with fighting faster fighters, and that's why the first tip is to follow the most important basics. And that is to keep your chin down and your hands up the entire time. You can't afford mistakes when you're fighting a faster fighter. So what you want to do is keep your hands up the entire time. You want to keep your chin down and throw perfect punches, right? Make sure it's always A to B, because you'll be sacrificing speed already if you're doing one of these and bringing your hand back up here. You want to make sure you're always traveling A to B on every punch that you throw, right? You always want to make sure they're coming right back to your chin. Pretend there's magnets in your chin, right? And every time you pull your hand away, it just gets that pulling action back in to your chin, right? So pretend there's magnets on your chin. We call the checkpoint in my gym, right? So bring your hands back up to checkpoint after every punch. But you also want to make sure that when you're throwing the punch, you're not exposed. So when you throw your right, for example, your left hand is glued to your chin and your shoulder is high, blocking your chin, and your chin down is into it, so that really no punches can come through, right? You're always protected when you're throwing the shots. It doesn't matter which shot you're throwing, even on the uppercuts, right? You want to make sure you've got a full defense no matter at what point of the punch you're in. This way it's a lot harder for them to penetrate while you're in the middle of a combination. So always keep your hands up and your chin down when you're fighting a faster guy. Another thing you want to do well when fighting faster opponents is to develop your timing so that it's damn near perfect. The only way to beat a faster guy is with good timing, because otherwise you're not going to be able to land the shots, right? You're not going to outspeed them. You're not going to be able to get there first. So you want to have good timing. Timing is more of a mental thing than anything, though. It's very intuitive, and you're going to have to learn how to use your intuition and how to be very observative of your opponent. During the fight, you'll have to look at their habits, you'll have to look at their quirks to see if there are many mistakes that they're making that you can capitalize. I'm pretty slow now, but for years when I was boxing, I always had the advantage with speed going into a boxing match, except for one time that I remember very vividly. In this particular fight, I never really even seen the guy's fists leave his chin, right? It was me standing in front of him, and then boom, my head getting knocked back. That's how fast he was. He was ridiculously fast. And the only thing that saved me in that fight, that helped me edge out a close win, was the fact that I had some boxing IQ. I knew that there had to be a way that I could beat this guy. So what I did was, in a round that I was getting my ass kicked, I was just observing him, right? I was seeing, what does he do? Is there anything I can notice that I could capitalize on? And what it was is, he had this little thing where he had to set his feet before he threw a punch, right? He was kind of in rhythm. He would do this thing with his toe, and then he would set his feet before he had to throw a punch, right? It was very subtle, but it was something that he did before he decided to throw punches every time. So I used that as a signal for me to start throwing my punches. As soon as he would set his feet, boom, I would connect before he had a chance to let his shots go. It was way faster than me, right? So that's the only way that I could connect. And after I landed a couple bombs, he started being more tentative with his shots, which helped me out a ton, because now he's not coming at me with an onslaught of quick punches that I can't see, right? He will hit me 1, 2, 3, and then I open my eyes and wonder if I'm getting jumped. It was that bad. So when he became more tentative, this allowed me more time to observe him, more time to pressure him, wear him out a little bit, get him on the ropes, and eliminate some of that speed advantage that he had over me. So look for little quirks and mistakes when you're fighting a faster fighter. Maybe they throw a shot and they drop their hands low afterwards, right? Or maybe they're dropping the opposite hand low when they're throwing the shot. So maybe it's something where you can capitalize on. Another thing you want to do a lot of is feint. You constantly want to feint against faster fighters because they expose themselves, right? They expose where they're trying to target you. So maybe shoot a jab to the body or feint a jab to the body, and then see how they react. Are they going to try to counter over the top, right? Do they pull away? And this will allow you to put that into your mental database and capitalize on that later. Another good technique that's worked wonderfully for me is to come off the center line when you're fighting a faster fighter. Never try to go for the straight exchange. Every time you throw a punch, get out of the way, right? Move your head out of the way and come over to the side, right? If you're going to throw a jab, get off the center line. If you're going to throw a right, get off the center line. If you're going to throw a hook, get off the center line. What that will do is, and what a lot of fighters, faster fighters do, is as soon as you throw a punch, they'll just try to beat you there, right? They'll try to slip in, boom, on the inside, pop, 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 try to catch you with that speed. So what you want to do is you want to get out of the way of the range and catch them coming in, right? As soon as you see them trying to attack, you want to boom, catch them on the way in. Boom, catch them on the way in. And as soon as you make a faster fighter tentative, you've won the fight. What you also want to do is bait them in to chase you down, because what happens is when somebody's trying to walk you down, they have to do 2 moves in order to land a punch on you. One is to step in, the other is to throw that shot, right? So what you're doing is you're kind of creating an advantage, because now you won't have to do that. All you'll have to do is 1 move to catch them, right? So you bait them in, you basically escape, right? Smart, move around, and as soon as they step in to throw that shot, you plant your feet and fire off your own. Because now when they're stepping in, this gives you time to throw your shot, and it makes you the faster fighter because you have 1 less move to do in order to hit them than they have to hit you, right? It's kind of like what Marquez did to Pacquiao in that 6th round when he put his lights out. Now, if all else fails, what you want to do is pressure these guys into a corner and beat them down. You want to beat them down everywhere that you can. Try to put them in the high pressure situation, even if you're not hitting them. Walk them down, take some punches on your block, right? Make them fire off, and then as soon as you get them in the corner on the ropes, beat them to the body, beat them on the shoulders, beat them on the hands, because speed and fast punches takes a lot of stamina. It takes a lot of endurance out of you. So if you could take some juice out of them, beat on their muscles and get them a little tight, get them tense, get them breathing heavy, get them in a high pressure situation where they're not throwing, where they're comfortable, and smother those punches, right? Where speed means a lot less. On the rope, speed means a lot less because you're both punching from such a short range. You'll be able to tag them, right? You'll be able to keep your gloves on their hands and be able to tell which hand is coming next. Little tricks that you could do on the inside and wear them down. Put your weight on them, right? Get them really tired, and then that will nullify their speed. And once their speed advantage is gone, they'll be in a rough place, because fast fighters are used to being fast. And the second that they're feeling sluggish, their mind is going to start to go into all the dark places, and that helps you win the fight. The real solution long term, though, is you don't want to be the slower fighter in the ring. So you're going to have to work on your hand speed and on your reflexes. I did an entire video on increasing your hand speed that you guys can check out, but basically there are a few things that you want to do. One is you want to shadow box with gloves on, preferably 16 to 18 ounce gloves. This is going to help your hand speed tremendously. Do it for about 3 to 4 rounds and then take them off for a round and see how you feel, and do that every single day. Over the course of a week or 2, you'll see your hand speed skyrocket. And you just want to punch faster. You want to make sure that each punch that you throw is at full speed, and then you want to make sure that you're in good enough shape to maintain that speed for all the rounds of a fight. So you want to constantly throw with each punch to its full potential. And lastly, you want to relax your punches. Don't come in all tight like this, right, and trying to have too much control over your hands. Let them loose, right, and let them fly, because that's going to create a level of speed that doesn't sacrifice power. As far as improving your reflexes, there are a few things you're going to want to do. First, focus on defense as much as offense. Make sure that everything you do in practice is focused on defense just as much as it is on throwing punches, right? So for every punch that you throw, make sure you move your head. That way you're training your body to be defensive, right? Do your blocks and everything, and work on it as much as you do your offense. Next, you want to focus on a defensive mindset when you're sparring. Come in and focus on working on your defense. Don't just focus on winning the sparring match, right? Go into a sparring match and say, I'm going to work on my reflexes today. I'm going to work on my defense, right? And every time a shot comes at you, try to do something defensive rather than just getting away with your feet, right? Stand in front of your opponent and try to just work on your head movement, right? Work on your blocks, work on your parries, work on your counters, right? Work on all these things to try and get better at it, and make sure it feels comfortable for you to have punches coming at you, because that's usually the biggest problem. People panic when fast punches are coming at them, and they start getting nervous and they start getting angsty, and rather than getting out of the way of them, which they probably could, they instead end up running into the shot. So one key that will help you with is to relax when punches are coming at you, and 2 is it will train your body and your mind to perceive these punches coming at you and then be fast enough to get out the way of them. And you also want to use the tools that are out there, right? If somebody can hold the mitts for you and work on some defensive drills, that would be amazing. You could also buy something like a sway bag or a reflex bar, which forces you to move your head, right, and pay attention, get your hand and eye coordination going, right? There's a lot of little tools like that you can use. You could do the whole Anderson Silva like tennis ball against the wall trick, where somebody throws a tennis ball at you and you're just dodging it, right, and trying to get out the way of it. There's a lot of little tools like that you can do. The slip bag that Mike Tyson was famous for, right, in his routine. Little stuff like that will absolutely help, but for the most part, you want to focus on it in sparring, because it's when a real live individual who's trying to hurt you is going to be throwing random punches at you, just like in a real fight. It's a real fight scenario which will help you better than anything else for a real fight. And remember, no matter what advantage an opponent has over you, it's always the smarter fighter that wins the fight. There's always a way to win a fight. The difference between the guys who lose and the guys who win is the guys that find that way. You could be facing a guy that's stronger and faster than you, and you could still win, right? You just have to be the smarter fighter in there. You have to pay attention. You got to have the IQ to see what are they doing wrong, right? You got to be calm enough and relaxed enough to be able to observe them in the fight while you're getting your ass kicked, right? And all this comes with practice. The more you spar, the better you'll get. And just make sure you analyze. You don't just go in there sparring just to win the fight. Make sure you pick things to work on and constantly tweak and improve the process so you can get better as a fighter. Let me know in the comment section below about a time you fought a faster fighter and what that experience was like for you. I personally had a few in my life, and that one time that I always go back to was my first time, but I've had a few after that, and I've managed to find a way to win every time. It was just always about relaxing, paying attention to my opponent, and figuring out a way to win. There's always a way to win. Hope you guys liked the video. I'm Sean with Brawl Brothers, and I'll brawl with you guys next time.